Welcome back for another episode of House Wolves, the Pet Dog Collective. You are going to be glued to this episode because I have an amazing guest, Angela Ardolino. She is an advocate for animals and also a trailblazer in holistic pet wellness. She has spoken all over the country and even has her own podcast, Your Natural Dog, which, if you aren't already listening, you're going to want to listen to. Welcome, Angela. Thanks for taking the time to join us today.
Thanks for having me.
So I love my listeners will love to hear a little bit about how you got started in this because you are very passionate about animals. So I'd love for you to tell them a little bit about how you got into this.
Sure. So I had a rescue where I rescued old dogs and farm animals, like, the pig that was supposed to be a mini pig, and there's no such thing. Or they got chickens and they got some roosters, or the chickens stopped laying eggs, or their animal got a disease, whether it be cancer or something else. I kind of had a reputation as a person who could do something about it. But anyway, animals have always been my favorite thing ever. I've also always been an entrepreneur, along with being a journalist, meaning I always want to know the why behind things.
Yes.
So when I lost my first dog at age 7 because I did everything wrong. And that was a good 20 years ago. And I had already learned herbalism, how to live a toxic free life, real food diets. So when I got my next dog for myself, who ended up being my soul dog, I had learned a lot of lessons from Lucy.
Mm-hmm.
So Odie, when he was 9, he stopped going up the stairs. I could tell he was experiencing pain. He little dogs at age 10 become seniors, so he was right when he was becoming a senior. And at the same time, I got diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis.
Mm.
And what was offered to Odie were very harsh medications and drugs that I didn't agree with and didn't want to do. And also, same thing for me. I was offered Humira, which is a drug offered to autoimmune people with autoimmune diseases, and it's already linked to lymphoma, along with all of the other terrible things that it does to your body. I was like, nope, don't want to do that. All right, let me figure out how did I get myself sick, and how do I help Odie naturally? Because you look up degenerative myelopathy and it's scary. It's like there's
Yes.
no coming back from it. So I first discovered cannabis medicine for myself. Someone handed me a tincture, and I'll never forget taking it for the first time and feeling the pain leave my body. And I couldn't believe it, how well it worked. I then immediately started to want more, research more. At the time, I had a company where I reported on natural living and how to remove the toxins from your life and things like that. So I started to interview people, mostly moms, who were treating their kids' ailments with full spectrum and with FICO, which is full extract of cannabis oil, and stopping seizures, getting rid of tumors. I started going to conferences, hearing one success story after another. I mean, from everything from professional football players that have head injuries to kids with cancer. And I just thought, this is inhumane to keep this medicine from anyone. So I literally sold that business and threw myself into the cannabis industry, not knowing where I would end up. And
Wow.
I hired a consultant. I traveled everywhere with him, learning how to select strains, how to grow medicinal products, how you harvest, how you extract the medicine without destroying any of the compounds, because the more you can have it, that whole plant extract, the better it is. And then in 2016, I got invited to the University of Vermont School of Medicine for the study of cannabis medicine, its biology and its uses, its therapeutic uses. And that's where I learned that animals have an endocannabinoid system also. And I was like, oh, that's what I'm going to be. I'm going to be the expert on the endocannabinoid system for animals. So I got to learn about this incredible system and how all animals have it, and what not only does, of course, cannabis, hemp interact with this system the most, but other herbs and mushrooms that interact with it. So, right when I got out of school, I went to look for a brand that was making a product. One didn't exist. The only thing that existed at the time was a human product that someone just changed the label and put a paw print, and they'd have other ingredients. It wouldn't be formulated for pets. That it would have things like natural bacon flavor, and some would even have xylitol. So I'd be the crazy person screaming at people at conferences to take that off their table. So what I did at the beginning was educate doctors and veterinarians about the endocannabinoid system and how to use cannabis and hemp medicine. But
Sort of explain what that system is for our
yep.
listeners.
Yeah. So the endocannabinoid system is considered the master system in all of us. It is in charge of all of our other systems. That's how important it is. Its main function is to keep us at homeostasis. And it is a series of receptors, and we make endocannabinoids. And if we don't make enough endocannabinoids, then things start going wrong. And it just so happens that cannabis makes phytocannabinoids that fill those deficiencies and bring us back to homeostasis. So doctors and veterinarians are taught nothing about this system. Doctors are taught that you have a problem with this system, and this is the problem in that system. Here's the drug that you prescribe, and here's the procedure that you get. Not what caused that.
Yes. Yeah.
And
The root cause is not treated often. Like
never treated.
I mean, allergies
never
up here
treated.
is rampant. Like, so every dog has allergies now. Every dog has all these ailments, but the root cause is not treated.
They don't even know. That's not what they're taught.
Yeah.
They're literally taught that the immune system reacting to the threat is the immune system's making a mistake and should be turned off. They also teach us what? They teach us to turn to drugs instead of plants, mushrooms, and food, which are readily available and in their full, wonderful form. But you can't patent those and make billions of dollars. So they go into a lab and they spend millions of dollars to recreate it, and they make one action happen, which stop the itch. Well, how do we do that? We just suppress the immune system. And now the itch is still there. The problem is still there. Your dog is just not itching anymore. And some people think, well, what's the big deal? The big deal is that the body was telling you something was wrong, and now it's been ignored, and now we've turned off the dog's defense system that is protecting them, and they'll end up getting something else, along with how when we isolate something out of nature or recreate it and then give it or take it, our body doesn't know what that is. Our body's immune system is going to have a response to it because it's foreign to it. The liver is going to have to work extra hard to figure out, what is this? What do I do with it? And sometimes the liver goes, okay, I don't know what this is. I'm going to send it out. Sometimes it holds on to it and stores it in the liver, or it takes it and stores it in the fatty tissue of the animal, which is why old dogs have lumps and bumps all over them. I needed to know that because I owned a groom shop. And lumps and bumps on a dog or a groomer's worst nightmare.
Yes,
because you can't see them, and they're often, on a longer haired dog, and they're often hiding under the fur, and nobody knows why they're there. That's where the liver is putting toxins that it doesn't recognize. And the worst thing you could do is aspirate or cut open that thing that has been storing all of these toxins. And if it's cancerous.
Yes.
To me, if it's an old dog or whatever, who cares? Treat it naturally. Don't cut that thing open. Don't stick a needle in it, because you're literally going to help it spread. Instead, support the dog's innate ability to heal itself, which is the immune system. Remove the toxins, give them real food.
Yeah.
Just cancer, for instance, travels through 12 signaling pathways, and cannabis has been proven to interact with 8 of those pathways already. You add a good, clean ketogenic diet and medicinal mushrooms and some other adaptogens, and you literally, cancer will not kill them or you
Yes.
if you've got it, because you're supporting the body and it knows what to do.
Yeah. Just the
Like,
nutrition alone, I've seen research where a tumor has shrank just
yep,
feeding real food.
exactly. Or fasting.
Yeah.
Not
Yes.
giving,
Yeah.
not giving. Fasting does two things. It's not giving if it's a bad diet or sugar or glucose or something like that, starches, then it's not feeding the cancer. And the second thing that's happening during fasting is the body's getting to clean itself up and go find and search for bad rogue cells or tumors, especially if it's getting help from plants and mushrooms, which literally create cells called natural killer cells, which literally go out and find anything rogue and remove it from the body. It's called autophagy. So autophagy is one of those pathways of cancer, and it removes the dead or bad cells from your body. And that's what you want.
People want to fast their dog for health. Like, does it depend on the dog? It depends on the age, does it depend? Or
Yeah, it depends. It's also, it's harder for a bigger dog who's like, "Where's my second meal?" So one of my dogs, Nina, my Doberman, got osteosarcoma, which is a bone cancer, and 1 in 9 large breed dogs gets this particular cancer.
that's a lot.
Yep. And the first thing they usually do is amputate the leg that it's on. And amputating is not the answer. That doesn't get rid of the cancer. And people think for some reason removing the tumor or cutting the leg off or whatever is how you remove cancer. And that's not how cancer works. So that's not how you get rid of it. And often a couple months later, sometimes a year or 2 years, depending on how old and the age of the health of the dog, the cancer is going to be back and show up somewhere else. And usually with a vengeance, because when you put a dog under anesthesia, you're putting the immune system offline. I learned this from one of my favorite holistic veterinarians. And so you've cut something open or off. What do you think the immune system's paying attention to when it comes back online?
That area.
That, not the fact that it's been fighting cancer and keeping it from spreading. That's when and then what happens? The dog gets antibiotics and pain meds and God knows what else, and probably some chemo or radiation, and all that's doing is destroying the gut microbiome where the immune system lives. And that's when cancer gets to take over, and it just moves to a different place. It just goes, where should we go now? How about we go over here? They're not paying attention over here. And that's literally what happens. And people don't know that. Even if people, that's what I like to advocate, is I want everyone to know they have a choice. I want them to know that most likely they're seeing a veterinarian that went to a school that was taught a standard of care and follow that. You've got this problem, you get this drug or this procedure, and that's all they know. So that's all they can help you with, unless it's a holistic veterinarian that went to that same school, got out, realized they didn't learn anything about diet, nutrition, herbalism, traditional Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, ozone, acupuncture, chiropractic. I could go on and on and on.
I love chiropractic. I'm a huge fan of chiropractic.
I'm a fan of all of them. Like once you go in, you're like, well, let me try them all. Let's see if they all work. Oh, look, they do. Look, my animal's finally getting better. And it's because they understand that this body is more than give it a drug. No.
What's a good tip for people, like they're a first time pet owner or whatever? Some vets are more open minded than others, but what's a way that people can start to advocate to even start to get into these holistic treatments? Like they go to the vet tells them, filled this ABC diet that isn't going to help. And then how can they advocate? How do they start?
Well, I don't know are they called holistic veterinarians? And there's also.
Yeah, we have some holistic
Okay,
veterinarians,
good.
but
This is what I
not a
do.
lot.
This is my favorite thing to do is learn how to take care of your pet on your own. Do not put the care or the health of your pet in someone else's hand, even if they have a white coat on. So question everything. I only go to a vet. I actually haven't been to a vet for a really long time. What I do is I get blood work done, and I there's places where I can get that done for the pet, and then I get online with my favorite holistic veterinarian, and we go through it together. And I'm like, I'm thinking this. What do you think? What's this issue? Should I do that? And that is available to everybody, no matter where you live. And that's my number one
Yes,
recommendation. If
great.
you
I like
need to
that.
go into a vet because you need to get its first vaccinations and those types of things, spread them out as much as you possibly can. Understand that they recommend the same amount of vaccine for a little dog as they do a big dog. So do your best to find somebody who can space it out. And there are things that you can do to help your dog recover from those vaccinations, both to prep them ahead of time and what you can do to help remove the toxins that are in that vaccination out of the dog's tissue so it doesn't end up being a lump or a bump or something else. So I want you to know that you have a choice and you can decide to raise your dog holistically and learn how to do it and how to feed real food every
Yes,
day, just like we do. Well, some of us do. Some people are eating ultra processed and fast food, which is literally like kibble,
exactly. That
or
was how
like
I
fresh
started.
pet.
That's how I started into the holistic side is the food. The first thing is the nutrition. I had a dog with severe allergies, my shepherd, and it was hard, but I eventually got there because you
That's
try
right.
stuff that doesn't work. I bought like a food processor and was going to make it myself, and he had the worst diarrhea he ever had. But then I eventually dialed it in and got it right. But it was a little
Good.
bit
I know, and it's a
challenging.
learning, but
It
it's
was,
better
it
than
was.
giving them kibble,
Oh,
the same kibble every single day.
it was incredible. I mean, it was just incredible. Their energy, their weight, their coat is so thick and so lush. Their teeth are better, everything's better. Their
Everything's
digestion,
better.
the poops. I always can't do a podcast without mentioning poop, but it's like I could never go back just because of that.
Right.
I mean, the
And
amount of
people
waste
do
of
feed,
it's
kibble in the
crazy.
beginning, thinking that think of all those things, that their shiny coat. I literally just saw a post the other day going, I've been feeding my dog kibble for 5 years. Look how shiny his coat is. And I'm like, you can't see what's going on inside.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's what the problem with kibble is. Kibble is like if we were to eat cereal every single day with no
totally,
milk. Even that just
exactly.
sounds icky. So it's like, but yeah, learn how to take care of your pet and its health, and go in with questions. And if you ever feel like the vet is there to serve you and work for you, you ask and tell them what you want. And if they give you any guilt or hesitation or bullying, walk out. Get out. Why would you pay for that? Don't do it. You have to advocate for your pet because sometimes they just don't know better. You need to understand that a drug rep comes in
Yes.
and says to them, here's the newest, greatest drug. The vet says, what's the side effects? They say none. They give them an incentive to start prescribing it, samples, and the next thing you know, you have given your dog something called Librela, which kills your dog. Librela has over 17,000 adverse events. There's literally a class action suit, and the product is being injected or given still to
Yeah.
this day. The FDA has literally sent out a letter warning people, warning veterinarians, and the manufacturer, which is Pfizer's Animal Arm, Zoetis, still has not taken it off the market. Instead, they've created an injectable and upped their marketing because their stock is going down because
Yeah.
we will not. Every podcast, I'm going to talk about this evil drug. Apiquil is another
Oh,
one.
Brevecto as well.
Brevecto,
I had
Simparico.
client's dog seizure on that.
Yep.
It's
So you guys got to understand that pets are property. So that means the most evil players are over here. That's why Pfizer hasn't, they all have an animal arm because when
yeah,
a drug fails in the human space, where do you think they send it?
that's scary.
That's what
The hemp
gabapentin is. That's also what Librela is. Librela was a human drug that it literally blocks nerve growth factor, which when I hear that, I think the audacity of man to stop things that the body is doing. It's doing that for a reason. You can't just block or stop something just for because the drug, because an animal has osteoarthritis. It literally causes osteoarthritis. And it did it in humans. And now it's over here. And people think, just today, someone said, "What do you mean? I thought, who aren't supplements regulated? Why don't they have to test?" Who? Nobody's regulating supplements. Nobody, people also are under the impression that pharmaceutical drugs are tested and made sure that they're effective and safe. They are not. They are not. So stop trusting them. Stop blindly giving them to your dog. Less is more. If you can find a natural remedy, and then yes, I know that there's dogs that are staying alive with the help of a pharmaceutical drug. I've never met one that I needed to continue to give them a pharmaceutical drug, and I've been doing this for 10 years now. So I took on every case at my rescue that you could possibly imagine. I literally had vets that said, "I got a case for you. Let's see if you can do something with it." The pet parents have given up, and I'm like, "Bring it." And it's funny because I would get dogs with dementia and not even know that that's what they had already, or that they were showing early signs. And of course, hemp helped them, but it wasn't until I learned about nootropics and lion's mane and bacopa monnieri where I could really help. But yeah, dogs, people need to realize that big dogs become senior citizens at age 6.
Oh my gosh, at 6?
At 6.
That's even sooner than I thought. Oh, that
So
makes me sad.
if they are 5 or 6, you should already be looking at them as like a 50-year-old who needs some extra support. And then medium dogs, it's like 8, and little dogs, it's 10. So that is to me, and if you've got one that's older, it's never too late. And let me tell you why I proved it in research. So I believe every senior citizen should be on a full spectrum hemp extract and medicinal mushroom extracts. Hemp and mushrooms are really food. They're superfoods. But in the United States and Canada, they're considered supplements, and they're not regulated. So most of the products on the market are coming from 3 bulk manufacturers, 2 from that make grow and manufacture in China, and 1 here in the United States. One of them is a big Canadian company who grows and manufactures in China. So keep that in mind, that it's hard to find good products grown on the appropriate substrate, extracted the right way. It's so important of what it grows on, and that there's no unnecessary additives or fillers in it, like sawdust or sand, so it fills up the capsule, or stearic acid or magnesium stearate. All these things are only in there as additives and fillers to help them be more profitable. I believe it should only be in there to help the dog, not the machinery, not their profits, not the manufacturer. That I don't care about that. So that's where I come from. I'm a do no harm person. That's what I thought our vets took a vote to do no harm. A vet recently told me, said they said it's not on there anymore. They don't do that anymore.
Crazy.
But that's the vet I want. That's what holistic vets are. They don't turn to drugs first. They turn to diet. People don't understand that your conventional doctor didn't learn about diet and nutrition. They didn't even learn about lifestyle, exercise, training.
Yeah, exactly.
Their environment, none of that. And yet we put all of our trust in them.
Yeah.
I took my dog that I mentioned, Lucy, in the beginning because she started having diarrhea and vomiting. $15,000 later, they still didn't know what was wrong with her. I now know why, because they gave her, I fed her the Purina Pro Plan they told me to feed her. I put all the flea and tick and heartworm crap on her. Yeah. I did every vaccination they told me to do every time they told me to do it. and I killed my dog by blindly following their advice. So it completely depleted her gut microbiome, destroyed her immune system, and then what did they do? They gave her antibiotics and steroids like they do for every dog. So they just make things worse. So not only that, whole year of trying to figure out what was wrong, I
Yeah.
tortured my dog, going to this specialist and this and putting her on this and putting her on that, and she was miserable the entire time. That's
Yes.
not fair. That's not
No.
okay. And
No.
then how many dogs get put down because they have dementia?
Yeah.
And it's
Many.
because they aren't, the doctor wasn't taught about that.
Yeah.
There's no drug on the market. There will be soon.
Mhm.
There's no drug on the market for it. So they say there's nothing you can do and you shouldn't let them suffer and you should put them down.
That's exact, because I just went through this experience, and basically you're told there is nothing. There is nothing to give the
They're
dog. But when his quality,
absolutely
I mean, his quality of life, it took about 2 years, declined so bad I had to put him down.
right. And that's pretty much how long it takes to get to severe.
Yeah, it
So
was
there,
severe.
I'm here to tell you that you can do something, even if right now your dog is like in middle stage or even severe. So I proved it in research, which I'll talk about, but
Okay.
I want people to understand how you end up dying from dementia because people think it's just a memory disease.
Yes.
You forget
Yeah.
how to eat and drink.
Yes.
You do not know, you're still thirsty and hungry, but you do not know how to eat and drink. And the earliest sign, because I had a senior dog rescue and that's all I did was take in senior dogs, and literally I could take in the old dog covered in cancer, lame in the back end, having seizures on 10 medications, eye drops, ear, whatever, and I
Yeah.
would wean them off, put them on a real food diet, put them on plant and mushroom medicine, and bring that old dog back to
That is
homeostasis.
so
They
amazing.
would walk again. The body would get rid of the cancer. It was amazing watching the body kill a tumor and remove it, like if it was an outside one. It's messy, but it's amazing what the body can do. But I now know what early signs are because I did this over and
Yes.
over and over again. Early signs are waking up in the middle of the night. So out of nowhere, disruption in sleep, they get up. They don't know why they get up. You take them outside. You stand there in the dark.
Yeah.
They don't even remember why they're out there. They're not thirsty. That's
Yeah.
the first sign
My,
of your
my
dog.
little guy started getting up at 2 a.m. every morning, and then he'd just be upset. So I would lay with him till about 5 a.m., and then he'd go back to sleep, and then I would go back to sleep.
Exactly. And that's what's
Yeah.
amazing is how it also disrupts our sleep.
Oh,
So
it
I
disrupted
have,
my whole life. I did that for
yep,
about 4 or 5 months. I was up from like 2 till 5 every night. It
yep.
was crazy.
So I'm glad you're sharing this experience and you know exactly what I'm talking about. And this is why I want to
Completely.
share this with everybody who will listen because
Yes.
a full spectrum hemp extract will help not only with inflammation. So the basis of all disease and issues is inflammation.
Yes.
So that's why
Yes.
full spectrum hemp extract is so important. It does so much for mood, sleep, appetite, pain, inflammation, and it's because it's directly interacting with that master system.
When you say full hemp extract, can you explain what you mean by that for people?
So, meaning that it's an extraction of the flower and it's getting everything out. They didn't take
Okay.
just CBD out or one of the
Okay.
cannabinoids and then put them in something else. It's just how naturally removing everything out of that flower without damaging anything, including the THC.
Okay.
And the
Because,
THC is just a little bit, but
yeah,
it's
okay.
enough to make it active. You take out the
Okay.
THC, you should call it something else.
Okay. Because that's most of what you see like on the pet store shelves, right? Is like just a CBD like extraction. So it's not a full
So make
extraction.
sure it's not a CBD isolate. CBD isolates have been proven to cause liver damage.
Okay. Okay.
So again, when you isolate things and make them into drugs, because that's what they're doing, is they're isolating one compound out, they become dangerous. So CBD isolates cause liver injury. So I would never give a CBD isolate every single day. I would only give an organic full spectrum hemp extract. That is what's going to be beneficial. And then for mushrooms, the other tip that I love for old dogs is cooking their meals, gently cooking their meals if you're feeding
Yes.
raw, because it just helps with the digestion. everything doesn't work as well. So you always just need to support it a little bit. And what mushrooms do, and I concentrate on adaptogens. And adaptogens are mushrooms and plants that adapt to the person who's taking them stressors. So whatever's wrong with me, it's going to work on my immune system to help fix that problem. You and I could take the same tincture, but it's going to do different things because we're different. So that's why I love adaptogens. The body knows what they are, recognizes them, and loves them. When you put more than one adaptogen together, they become even more powerful and synergistic. So knowing that was awesome. Then there's a class, go ahead.
I was just about the mushrooms because I'm really interested in mushrooms, both for my dogs and myself. But my little guy that ended up having dementia, at one stage, because of his allergies, my holistic vet did put him on mushrooms, like a supplement. Good. But it was a powder. And then when I watched your podcast, I'm like, no, wait a minute. Now I don't know if that really did anything or not.
Because it depends what that powder was.
Yeah, I don't know because it didn't even have a label, so I have no idea. I just took it.
And your vet probably didn't know either. Your vet understands that mushroom is great, but they don't know what form or what it is they actually gave to you. So mushrooms can be, and mushrooms are both a functional food and a functional medicine. So is hemp. Hemp seeds is an amazing food and source of omegas. So, but let's stay with mushrooms. Mushrooms, you can get them and cook them and eat them, and they are packed full of vitamins and nutrients. They're an incredible prebiotic and postbiotic. 3 grams feeds the gut microbiome for 13 days. Like when I spit stuff out, it's always from a piece of research that was done.
And is that no matter what the weight of the dog, or is it different depending on
3 grams is 3 grams. Yep.
Okay.
3 grams. Put some on your food, put some on their food, and you got it. And then there's the medicine, which is the extractions of the fruiting body, what we know of the mushrooms. And a dual extraction is what is best, meaning you do it with hot water, then we do alcohol, then my company, evaporates the alcohol off because dogs and cats should not have alcohol. It's not good for them, like it's not good for us, except they lack the enzyme to break it down, so it's much worse for them. And then we bottle it in a organic, safe vegetable glycerin, coconut glycerin, to preserve it. And we actually do a step further. It's called a spagyric preparation. So everything that's left after the extraction, we purify and put back in. So it's a true whole mushroom extract. It's very, very potent. It's very well done. It's beautiful. And the powder side of the mushroom industry is going to tell you it's a glycerite, that it's not, that someone's taken the powder and mixed it with water or glycerin, which is the case for most people, but it's not how we do it. So products can be either the mushroom dried, ground up, and put in a powder, or it can be a liquid extract that was dried and put in a powder. Or the worst offenders on the market are those that grow on grain in a plastic bag. So they inoculate grain with the spores. It eats the spores. It then becomes the mycelium block. And they let the mycelium take it over, and then they grind that up and call it a mushroom. And there's no mushrooms in it at all. Just a bunch of grain that mycelium had eaten. So there's no regulation, and anybody can do anything. What most people do is those big 3 manufacturers supply it for tons of people who either add it to something else or put 5 of them together in a powder. So I'm not a fan of powders. When I know what freeze-dried liquid extract looks like, and none of them look like that. And what they are all coming from one of those places. And that was my first question, is why are they drying a liquid extract? Why? Every time you put something through a process, food, plant, or mushroom,
you're going to lose some of the
You're going to lose something.
Yeah.
So I was like, why are they doing this? Mushrooms are water. We are water. If I take a powder and I put it on my arm, it's not going to be absorbed. If I put that liquid on my arm, it's going to be absorbed. It's made that way. It's made to hit the mouth and immediately be absorbed into the bloodstream. Why is it a powder? Because it's coming from China. Because it's a lot cheaper to send a powder than gallons of liquid over from China. But they also
Yes.
use something called a spray gun, which adds other things in it that fluff it and make it look and seem like it's more than it is.
Mm.
So there's a lot of things that they do over there that we,
Yeah.
that, or even when it's coming into Canada that you don't even know. Does
Yeah,
Canada know
exactly.
what to test? Because they don't know what's going on over there.
Yeah.
So I believe in, we use only U.S. Farmers and forage, but we do have a backup in Canada. So because they have met our requirements and we love them.
Excellent.
So it's very important to find and make sure that they've been wild cultivated, meaning grown on the right substrate, that they're growing in on this continent so that they haven't been adulterated or coming from somewhere you don't know. I can walk onto any of my farms, I can walk into my manufacturer
Yeah.
any day of the week and see everything that's going on. I can see my other herbs. But yeah, I wanted to talk about a group of adaptogens called nootropics, which nootropics are adaptogens for the brain. And so when I finally discovered what CCD was, how you died from it, I couldn't believe there was nothing being offered to pets that I got to work. And there was already research proving that lion's mane dual extracts and a herb called an adaptogen called Bacopa monnieri both have already been proven to regenerate neurons, create neurogenesis in our brains, and regrow something called our telomeres. And our telomeres are these X string like structures that are inside the DNA of our cells. And every time our cells replicate, they shrink a little bit. But these extracts regrow them. So they reverse aging, which is crazy. Aging
That
is
is
not a
crazy.
disease. Aging is a lack of homeostasis. That's why a hemp extract is my favorite for all seniors because that's its main function is to keep you at homeostasis. So I took those two, lion's mane and Bacopa monnieri, and added them with reishi and ashwagandha, which are also extremely calming for the brain and good for the brain, and cordyceps extracts. Put them in a formula and started giving them to my old dogs with dementia and literally watched them come back to life. Literally
That's
watch a
incredible.
dog that's, the typical standing in the corner and just barking up at the wall or getting lost right behind the couch. That
Yeah.
immediately went away. I even
Wow.
adopted a dog that wouldn't even make eye contact with me. She just walked in circles, go in corners, and then literally within 2 days, she's looking at me and running towards me, and I'm picking her up and she's giving me kisses, and I'm like, oh my God, this is insane. It's like it works so well. It's not like I had to
That's
wait.
crazy.
And that's what I find when I grow these things the right way and extract them
Mhm.
gently the right way and preserve them and make them at a therapeutic dose, they always work. I literally learned this is what I wish it was like for vets. Vets
Yeah.
don't learn that. I got to
Yeah.
learn how mushrooms and plants
Yeah,
work and
exactly.
interact. They never got to learn that. I got to come out of school and apply it and watch poof, poof, animals finally get better, finally come up with the
Yeah.
solution. They don't see that
Yeah.
because that's not what drugs do. Drugs,
Exactly.
people need to understand that the big companies are funding the schools, giving
Yes.
the food out. I've been to the schools teaching about the endocannabinoid system. I wasn't invited by the school. I was invited by the Holistic Club. That's who we want for our future veterinarians is the ones that sit in their lunch hour and listen to someone like me teach them about the endocannabinoid system because they
Exactly.
understand that they're not getting it in school and that it's controlled. But they also make the food,
Yeah.
and then the food causes issues.
Oh,
And they got a
100%.
drug for every single one of those issues. And then every single one of those drugs has a side effect, and there's a drug for that too.
That's
And
the
it's
thing.
like you get stuck in this system, and it's really hard to get out of it.
Yeah.
And I just want to ask people, I get questions all the time like, can I give a full spectrum hemp extract with my dog's pain meds? Well, are the pain meds aren't working? Stop giving them. because they're causing more harm than good. Your dog's
Yeah.
still in pain. I know why. Because pain works through 5 signaling pathways, and each drug is targeted for just one of those pathways. Cannabis, all 5.
I mean, the times where I've given my dog drugs, I can't stand it. Like 24 hours and I'm going nuts because I see them looking miserable. To me, they
Right.
look miserable.
Yep, you're
They
right.
look miserable. They try and fight it. If it's any kind of sedation, my shepherds will try and fight the sedation. Like, and then they have to give them more and more and more.
You
And
don't have
it's,
to
I
fight
can't
them.
even stand watching it. Like,
Give
it's
them
just
a full
horrible.
spectrum hemp
There's
extract.
people who have their dogs on that for like years and years and years. And it's crazy. Like gabapentin and trazodone here is given out like
Gabapentin is one of those really bad ones.
wild.
Gabapentin was another one of the human drugs that ended up over here, and I cannot believe how many vets have come out, how many times we've talked about it, and it is still being handed out like crazy.
It's handed out like crazy here. So, like with a lot of my training clients, I always tell people you have to wean them off the drugs first before we
Good,
start
that's what I
training.
did.
Yeah, because why would you want to train a dog that feels like crap,
Can't.
basically? That's
You
not fair.
can't. Right.
Like, I wouldn't want to go train for a half marathon after I've taken a bunch of drugs and feel sick.
Exactly.
Like, so it's part
Well,
of it.
even
Just
if you wanted to, you couldn't because you wouldn't be able to
no,
focus
exactly.
or retain what you learned. It's so funny. I
Exactly.
did the same thing at my groom shop, boarding and daycare. I said, "Nope, those aren't
Yeah.
allowed. You can go somewhere else." Or
Yeah,
I
exactly.
have this. I literally created a formulation because of this reason, where I took a full spectrum and included lavender extract, which is
Yeah.
an adaptogen and great for calming. So
Yes.
I have a regular and a extra strength for the ones that need more support. But yeah, I would
That's
not allow
awesome.
it. I'm like, I have this. You can buy a bottle, use it at home. Here we can do it by charge you by the dropper, or I can take it from their own bottle. But we don't allow those drugs. They are dangerous. They don't. The dog, like we would get them for grooming. They couldn't even stand up.
Yes.
And I'm like, and then they'd wake up so aggressive and angry and
Yes.
scared. I'm like, how are we learning anything here? This is
Yeah.
not good. So
No,
we
it's
would
not
be
good.
like, you're going to do this, you're going to take this, you're going to come to the groom shop, and we're just going to get
Yeah.
a treat and leave. And then next time we'll come and maybe we'll just do the nails or a bath
Yeah.
or, whatever. And then
Yeah,
people would be
exactly.
amazed. It worked every time because the
Yeah.
dog got trained and learned that it's not a scary thing,
Hmm.
because that's what hemp and mushrooms are doing. They're just bringing the dog to a parasympathetic state, which means they're calm, their nervous system calms down, and now they can learn and be trained. And that's what I love about it.
Yes, me too. So I love the mushrooms. Let's just go back to mushrooms for a second. Because if you're wanting to just start to feed some mushrooms, what mushrooms do you recommend?
If you want to
Like,
feed them, go to
yeah,
like your local market or farmer's market. Make sure that they're organic. Lion's mane, king trumpet, maitake, shiitake, morel. Just about
okay, so
everything
just
that is
about,
good for you is good for
right,
them. Yep, and
okay.
I would eat them with your pet so that you could do it. And I'm not even a fan of eating them, so I love to chop them up really small and fry them with some like grass-fed ghee. Oh my God,
Yeah,
they're awesome. My taki literally tastes like bacon bits. It's
yes.
like so yummy. But anyway, I took my formulation after having such great success, and I took it to research, hoping that it would get it a bunch of attention and people would know that now they have something to offer
Yeah, an option.
their pet. So I did a research. I hired a company that does pharmaceutical drug research. He was
Okay.
a retired conventional veterinarian. He told me that don't not to get my hopes too high, that usually it doesn't show anything. And then he was the one that informed me of how pharmaceutical drugs are tested and researched for animals. And he said that all they have to prove is that the drug doesn't change their health for the first 3 months. They never have to prove that the drug is actually effective.
That's crazy.
It is crazy and it is a fact. So then I go and look at the ones I hate the most, like Apoquil and
Yeah,
Librela. And so I used to be a journalist, so this is what I went to college for.
okay.
So I'm always like investigating
Looking,
and getting to the
investigating.
root, getting to the bottom of the story. So both Apoquil and Librela, that's what they did. And not only did they do that, they did several. So I want people to understand, if you love dogs,
Mm-hmm.
then you should be anti-drugs, because they literally, after they create these drugs in a lab, they test them on animals, they test them on dogs. You've probably heard of the Ridgeland Beagles,
Yeah.
and Marshall Bioscience or something like that does the same thing. They literally breed dogs. They stay in captivity. They never get to live a life or do anything, and then they just torture them with these drugs. So both Apical and Librela, Apical has like 3 studies that they started and stopped, and the reason that they started and stopped is because they had outcomes that changed dogs' health. So they had to start over. So they had to change something and start over and do it again until they get the outcome. So they just have to do it. And not only that, they're testing it on dogs that are young and healthy,
Yeah.
not an old dog who's got
Yeah.
problems. So they literally do that. And not only did Librela do it for only 3 months, they also did only pet parent surveys.
Just surveys?
Just surveys with the pet parent. So I think everybody was like me, where they think that there's extensive testing proving that it does whatever they say it does, that there's that it's effective, that it's safe. That is not the case at all. So people need to realize that it's not supplements nor drugs have been tested to make sure that they're safe and effective. That's why you need to make sure you know what you're giving your animal, because it's going to have an impact on their body, on their health, on their immune system, on their liver, on their kidneys, on their detox pathways. You don't want to overwhelm your dog with that. So we did the research, and my research, because everything I do is, what do I want as a pet parent? I want the very best. My pets are my children. So I don't want them to anything different than what we would get as humans, and we don't get that much better for humans either. So I don't even know why I say that anymore. So we did 2 blood tests, one called a C-reactive protein test that measures inflammation in the body. And we did a brain BDNF, which is a brain-derived nootropic factor, which literally measures neurogenesis in the brain. We also did an activity collar, a collar that literally measures their heart rate, respiratory, are they sleeping through the night, are they still pacing in circles, and we did pet parent surveys. And we showed an 81% improvement rate with dogs with CCD. They were already diagnosed with CCD, which is doggy dementia. We had mild, moderate, and severe cases. The severe cases stopped getting worse, and the mild and moderate got better. And that's exactly what I witnessed on my farm. When I met the researcher after the research, he was so excited to get on me. He was looking at me like I was some magical witch, because for the first time in his life, he tested a drug and it did what it said it would do.
Yeah. So, and is this at market right now? Like, can people buy
It's called
this?
Clarity.
Okay.
Yep, it's going to be in Canada soon.
I'm excited for that.
I just found out one of my online stores ships to Canada. It's called Podega. I don't know how they're doing it, but great, awesome. So if you want to try it, you can get it from them. Otherwise, we're going to be in Canada soon. I know we're going to one of the big industry events in October, so I might go. So maybe we can meet. I don't even know where it is. I don't even know where it is. It's somewhere in Canada.
It could be on the other side, but you never know.
Exactly.
West.
Exactly. I'll figure out where it is. But anyway, yes, I just want people to know that there is something you can do for your old dog. Support them as soon as you can. Know that you have a choice on what you feed them, how you raise them, how you train them, and that there is a natural and holistic way to do that. And I feel like that's what most pet parents want.
Exactly.
I was just arguing with someone who was like, what's your problem with microcrystalline cellulose? That's a fancy word for sawdust. It's silicone dioxide. That's a fancy word for sand. And it's used, it's one of the most common fillers used. And it's to fill capsules up or make the powder seem more, or
Yeah.
used to make the machinery work better.
Mm-hmm.
So someone was like, "What's the big deal? It's approved. It's approved by FDA with GRAS, which stands for generally recognized as safe. It doesn't. It's inactive. It doesn't do anything." That's not true. Not only is it not true, but I didn't pay for sawdust and sand. Do you want
Yeah.
saw and sand
No.
dust in your dog's food or supplements?
No.
No. So that's what we're talking about here. I bought something that says it's natural and holistic. Why is this crap in there?
Yeah.
So that's
Exactly.
what I'm like. People forget what the purpose is here. The purpose
Yeah.
is that why would this be in a supplement to help my dog? It's not going to help my dog. It shouldn't be in there. Get it out.
Yeah.
Don't buy it. Put it
Yeah. I
back.
was After listening to you a bit, and I've been looking at labels more, and I was excited to just try a supplement for my dog, and it has no non-active ingredients. So
Good.
it's just, so there's nothing you don't need in there. There's no
And that's
sawdust or
possible.
anything. And
It's funny
yeah, it is.
because you
just
get
have to know what
overwhelmed.
to look for, though.
Right.
So you just need to,
And you're
educate
going to get
yourself on
pissed.
what to
Like,
look for.
you could tell me if this happened to you. I literally made my staff come for a meeting one time and bring all the supplements they're taking, and I went through it with them, and they were like, "Man, shit,
Yeah, exactly.
what? This is number one." Blah, blah, blah. And like it is, most have these ingredients.
Exactly.
So instead of getting upset that most of them are all about profit, go find the ones that aren't and celebrate and share with them, because they're the people that are not out to make a profit off of you. They're out to truly help your dog.
Help you.
They don't
Yeah.
believe putting that crap in there is right. They're
Exactly.
probably making that product because they were like me and couldn't find anybody making anything good. So find those people and then make sure they don't ever sell. Because when they sell,
Yeah.
because here in the
No,
United States,
100%.
some of the biggest human brands have been bought by the bad
Yeah.
players. And then all of a sudden you'll start seeing those things show up.
Yeah.
And
Well,
the
that's what
reason they're
happened with
showing
the
up.
pet food too.
Yep.
I mean, because some of them weren't maybe so bad, but then they all got bought out by the one or two big companies, and now they're just all bad.
They know that we're not reading the ingredients.
Yeah.
And if we are, we don't know what we're reading. Well, guess
Exactly.
what? When you're reading it, you don't recognize it. That's a good thing to put it back. If you start seeing things that you can't pronounce and never heard of it, put it back. That's a sign. You go to those other inactive ingredients and there's anything other than maybe a capsule, and if you're looking at a tincture, water, or a natural preservative, put it back. You don't have to know what it is. It shouldn't be in there.
And then the other thing to touch on is for certain like extracts or things, there should be third-party testing, right?
Absolutely. That's your first thing.
Yeah.
So that's
Do you
your
want to tell
first.
people a little bit about that so they can know what to look for?
So if you're picking up an herbal product, plant, hemp medicine, mushroom product, it needs to have something called a COA from a third-party lab. So I put a QR code. I know some other brands do it. Put a QR code on and our batch numbers in the bottom of the bottle or product so that you can look up that batch's COA, proving that it's free of contaminants, meaning herbicides, pesticides, solvents, mycotoxins, aflatoxins, all the bad stuff that you do not want in your pet. So that's the only way. If you can't find that, meaning you're on a website shopping and you can't find it with the product, move on. If you're in a store and they don't have access to it, or you call the company and they don't provide it, and it has to be from a third-party lab, don't buy it. I would never trust a product that doesn't give me access to a COA. So make sure they have it. That's your first. Don't even bother looking anymore. If they do have the COA, great. Now you know that it's a product that's made free of contaminants. Now we're going to read the ingredients, make sure there's nothing in there that's questionable, make sure we're not dealing with any isolates, which isolates are hard. Because they name them and they look harmless. They name vitamins after the real vitamin and then just put something afterwards, and people don't know that it's an isolate or a synthetic. And just today I got a question of someone said, well, my vet told me that our pets do absorb synthetic vitamins. And I'm like, sure they do. But imagine absorbing a vitamin that doesn't have a side effect. Remember, it's a synthetic version of that vitamin, so it still is going to create an immune response and for the liver to have to deal with it. So
Yeah.
it's not the same. And it's actually never the same when it's man-made or synthetic or
Yeah.
isolated. Never. Never. That's not how nature works.
And by just giving real food, they can get the real vitamins.
Exactly. Unless you're factory farmed, you're getting factory farm or, whatever, however, like sticking with organic,
Yeah.
knowing that you're where you're getting that food from, where your food, if you're doing a pet food company, where are they sourcing? How do they treat their animals? Are their animals eating the biologically appropriate diet, just like how mushrooms need to have a biologically
Yes.
appropriate
Like
diet?
grass-fed beef.
Exactly. It's all that's what it all comes down to. It's all what nature intended and what our body needs and what our animals' bodies need. It's called zoopharmacognosy for animals. Wild animals go and eat the plants and
Yes.
mushrooms, or even if they're a carnivore, part of the animal that is going to help them deal with whatever their issue is. So no, if you need more vitamins, go for organs or go for certain plants. And
Yeah.
guess what? Mushrooms are packed full of it. Chaga, for instance, has more antioxidants than anything, except it's third after liver and the liver organ, which you need to make sure is organic and pure, because guess what? The liver holds on to toxins and it
Toxins.
holds on to copper. So make sure that it's the liver treat or whatever you're getting is from an organic source, so that you don't see how something good can become bad.
Yes. I see. Now I gotta go check my beef liver bag.
So
But
yeah, I mean, it seems like a lot at first, all the information I'm spewing out,
definitely.
but I trust you. I was in every pet parent's shoes at one point, and I learned, and now it comes natural. I continue now to spot if it's not natural, or is that the way nature would do it, or how was that extracted or processed. Processing is such a thing. Every time you process something, you take away some of those bioactives that make it so incredible.
And then depending on the ailment, like whether it's dementia or something else is going on or cancer, is it just like feeding a proper nutritious diet and then just going with a CBD full extract, or like it can't make it any worse,
No,
right?
it's absolutely going to help. Just remember
So,
that all of these plants and mushrooms are doing is helping the body do what it knows how to do. The body just needs extra support for some reason, whether it's because it got a virus or a bacteria or epigenetics, something triggered something in their genes to suddenly do something. So their breed is prone to, let's say, allergies for some reason, and something in their environment or what they ate triggered that, and now they have
yeah.
allergies. So all of those things that are like difficult, a full spectrum hemp extract's whole job is to help the body get back to homeostasis. So along with all of the other benefits of, scavenging your body and removing bad things, being antiviral, anti-cancer, antibacterial, antifungal, all of these things naturally. Like mushroom compounds train your cells to recognize bad mushrooms even. So like if your dog comes across a virus, bacteria, or even a poisonous mushroom and gets exposed to it, he's more likely to be perfectly fine because the immune system has this extra support to quickly deal with the issue and get it out of the body. They're here. They're
Yeah, that's
part
a
of
good point.
nature. They're here for us
Yeah.
to consume, for our animals to consume, to help us defend off the threats and to continue to keep ourselves healthy and going and at homeostasis. We've just been so pulled away from it
Yeah.
that we're
Oh,
supposed
so
to take a
much.
pill.
Yeah. And then if people are struggling, they could always consult a holistic veterinarian that could
Yep.
help them
Or a
along.
pet health coach.
Yeah.
Also, we have great customer service, so they could email
Excellent.
me,
Okay.
email anybody on my team. My customer service is led by a vet tech who's been with
Oh,
us for
awesome.
years, and she knows all about it. So there is
Excellent.
help, and you can get it. We have a very popular Facebook group, where
Okay.
people can
Okay.
come ask questions, and we've got some of the coaches there helping.
Excellent.
So yeah, I know you're in Canada.
Yeah.
I know you've got that one source. I even know that you have an incredible woman. I've had her on my podcast who literally helps pet parents navigate
Oh, perfect.
picking hemp products. So Yeah, the
Good.
help is
Okay.
out there.
Great.
You just have to dig a little bit to find them.
And we'll put some of these links in the podcast for people to help them out. We'll get some of those links and then we can include them for everybody. Yeah, well that is just that's so much information for everybody, but I love it so much. And
Good.
the next senior dog I have is going to be on these supplements because I
Awesome.
can't go through the dementia nightmare ever again. It's
No, I
just
know.
the
Because you work
saddest
so hard
feeling
to
I've
get
ever
them to that
seen.
age.
Oh, and he was like my soul dog. I got him at 4, and he was a rescue, and he was a terror when I got him. He had a huge bite history, but
Oh,
he was actually just the best little dog. He actually got me into chiro as well, the chiropractor. He
nice.
had a luxating patella. Went to a vet. She literally didn't know what was wrong with him. Went to chiropractor, fixed it. And then he just had bad conformation. And some of his aggression and the biting people was that he was always in pain.
Right.
So when I started taking him to chiro all the time, boom, the pain was gone. He was like a different dog. And I
Yep.
always tell people that with certain dogs where they don't really seem aggressive, but they're acting aggressive, it can be pain and they just don't know
Yep.
how to show it.
Exactly.
So, and then he was, I mean, you learn with each dog, right? So, I've always kind of been interested in the holistic and the supplements, done some acupuncture, but
Nice.
each dog I kind of, laser treatment is a big one
Hmm.
I do with my dogs,
Hmm.
red light therapy, all of that.
Awesome.
And then each dog I just try and get better and learn a little more.
Yep. I
So,
know. And that's what the thing is you figured out a lot and you're getting them to their late age. And now here's the thing that we don't know, and now we know. So thank you for letting me talk about it. Please share with everybody because I really do want people to know that there's something they could do to support their dog's aging brain.
thank you so much for taking out the time to talk to us. It
You
means a
bet.
lot. It was so wonderful to have you on. And
Thank
thank
you.
you to all of our listeners for listening to us again at Housewell's podcast. And we will have the links in here so everybody can help educate themselves. Thank you so much.